Good morning, humans. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have Cody Demps on, and we cannot wait for you to hear his story and to learn a lot along with us. So please enjoy this episode and like and subscribe.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with Cody Demps. I am so excited because I have been wanting to not interview you for a while, but I feel like we've kind of chatted for a while with you playing in Reno. So thank you so much for joining the show.
No problem. I'm excited to be on. I'm ready for a good conversation.
Cool. Well, we're going to start from the beginning. So when I was doing some research about you, just kind of about your past leading up to you playing for the Stockton Kings, I saw you were a two-sport athlete, so basketball and football. And I want to know, how hard was it? I know in high school you played both and then a little bit in college, but how hard was it to balance everything, like two sports plus a social life plus school? And just kind of take me through what got you interested in both those sports.
Yeah, so growing up, I kind of was used to playing different sports. So growing up, I basically started off with soccer and then baseball. And basically at one point I was playing like basketball and football all at the same time. So I was kind of growing up used to playing all these different sports. But then once I got to high school, I kind of had to like choose like which ones were like my real passions. And so I decided to go with basketball and football because it'd be way too hard to carry all that, like you said, like have a social life and be able to work on my studies and stuff like that. So yeah, football and basketball were always my two favorite ones. And then going into college, I ended up committing to play basketball. So I played basketball for 4 years, and then my last year I was able to play football. So yeah, it was a long road.
What made you pick, when it came to going to college and playing one sport, what made you choose basketball over football?
Basketball was always my first love. So it's the one I like remember playing first, I guess. Like as a little kid, I used to play like on the little tyke hoops in my family's living room and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's the one I like remember the most. And so yeah, it was just my main passion. And so I was like, man, if I ended up pursuing one of these two sports, like which one would I have the most regret not pursuing? And basketball would have been the one I would be like, man, I always wish I would have played. So that's the one I tried to stick it out with.
So then you went to, like you said, Sacramento State to play basketball. And then I saw that you turned down playing basketball overseas to play football that season to get your degree. And was it like a walk-on process? Like, how did that work getting on the football team for your final year?
Yeah, so actually I didn't even really pursue professional basketball that heavily right when I finished my last season of basketball. So I finished my last season of basketball. It was spring semester, and I was like, man, I really want my degree. I was like, man, I was here for like 4 years. I'm like a couple classes away after this. And so I was like, man, I wonder if these coaches actually really want me to play football. Because just walking around campus for the last 4 years, they knew I like played back in the day, and they'd always joke around, be like, hey, buddy, like when you coming out for football, blah, blah, blah. And so finally I hit up Coach Sears, and I was like, hey, Coach, like I know you guys are joking around a lot, but I'm actually kind of interested in playing football. You'd be down to have a meeting with me. And so that spring I got to meet with him. Ended up playing spring football for that, and then ended up liking it, and they ended up offering me a scholarship for the last semester that I had, which would carry over to next football season where I could get my 2 classes in. And I ended up playing that season, and after that season I graduated in December, and then decided to go play basketball after that.
There you go. So getting your degree is so important. I know a lot of athletes have that decision that you had where it's, do you go play pro? Do you finish school and get your degree? And people do it all kinds of different ways. But what advice would you give people who are going through that right now, like maybe freshman, sophomore in college that or have the chance to potentially leave school early? What advice would you give them? Would you tell them to stay, get their degree? What would you say?
I would say everyone's path's different. So I know a lot of people would try to impart their wisdom on me and be like, hey, stay for all 4 years. You need your degree. Hey, you're really good. You should leave after your freshman year. So I think everyone's path is different. And so I think it's really important to have people around you that are really honest. And so if you're willing to risk not like getting your degree per se, and willing to leave to go to the draft early, I'd say if that's really something that you really wanted to, and those people around you were like, all right, you're getting like top 15, like you're going to be set for life type thing, I'd say pursue it. If that's something that you're really into and you really want to make a living out of it, you should do it. But I think it should be like your own personal decision. I don't think anyone else should have like a way on that decision, because that's something that you're going to have to live with and deal with. So, yeah.
I like that. That's really good advice.
Yeah.
So then after you got your degree, you had a tryout with the Reno Bighorns, which are now the Stockton Kings. How did that whole process work? Like, did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? How did that all start before you made the team?
So that whole process started after I finished football and graduated in December. So basically, there's a time period where that basketball season was still going for college athletes. So I was just working out with one of my trainers from out here, Gus Armstead. He's been with me for the longest time. And so, yeah, he's my dog. And so we were been working out, we were grinding. And then all of a sudden, summertime came and NBA seasons was over with, and they needed kind of guys to kind of come in to the facility and kind of be some extra bodies so they could play 5-on-5 games. They were tired of just working out by themselves. And so volunteered. I was out there. I was there for pretty much all summer, in and out whenever they needed me. And so they kind of wanted to say thank you for being out there and just being readily available. So Anthony McClish, who was the GM, said, hey, we have this opportunity where you could come to the Reno Bighorns. There's no guarantees, but you could come try out, see what happens. I was like, man, I'm all for it, because at the time I didn't really have that many like overseas like potential offers, because my name was kind of out of the circulation because I played football. And so there wasn't a lot of like hype around my name. So the overseas offers weren't like flowing in. So I was like, man, let's try this out, see what happens. I ended up going to tryouts. Played well, ended up making the team, and which I was super happy. I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, man, I'm gonna just come in here and try my best. I don't know what will happen. So I ended up making the team, and then ended up playing, ended up starting by the end of the season. And so, yeah, that was that.
There you go. And I have to ask, Ashley just visited Reno for the first time a couple weeks ago. Got to experience, I tried to do like the casinos a little bit, but a little more tame, because you know how Reno can be. So I have to ask, I never asked Ashley, but I'll ask you first. What was your favorite part of Reno?
Man, to be honest, my favorite part was being close to my brother, because my brother was actually at UNR at the time. And so I got to visit and kick it with him a lot. I got to see his games. And so I hadn't seen him in a while since he left and since I went to college. So I got to spend a lot of quality time with him. But, yeah, how'd you like Reno, Ashley? I know it's a different place. Everyone has different opinions.
Yeah, it was great, honestly. Like, I love the small town like kind of aspect. It totally reminded me of Tucson here in Arizona, though. So I like kind of have a love-hate relationship with Tucson. So
okay.
But
I feel a lot of people
my favorite part was the outlets. Like, I could be there all day.
Oh, the outlets.
Did
Don't
you
they
ever
have
go
like
to
a big
Legends?
like sports one, like a big super sports store out there, right?
Yeah.
In Reno?
Yeah.
It's
went to
Shields.
Adidas.
Yeah, there you go.
I went to Adidas and I got like 3 pairs of shoes.
Hey,
Totally
plug.
flew back home with a carry-on full of shoes.
Yeah, I like that. See went shopping, made the most out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Reno's different. Definitely with the casinos, you don't really get that where I'm from, like California and Sacramento. You don't have casinos where you could just pop in at any time of the day and go throw some on the blackjack table. So yeah, that was definitely interesting.
Right. I always joke with people, because Greater Nevada Field, I think you've been there before, right? To catch a game? Or no?
Yep.
So I always joke when people ask me how to describe Reno, I always say around the field, you have the men's club, you have the dispensary, and then you have the casinos. You get like all 3 parts of Reno.
There you go. Just in that little spot right there.
I know my parents are going to kill me for saying that, but that's Reno for you.
Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
Good. So then it became the Stockton Kings, and you obviously went over there, and then you played in the summer. Like, I'm probably totally out of order for this, but then you also got a 10-day contract with the Sacramento Kings. So how cool was that? Like for me in baseball terms, it's like the major league call up. So how exciting was that for you just to, you know, have that spot with the NBA team?
Yeah, it was super exciting. I remember when I got that call, I was shaking out. I tried to call my dad after, and my hand was like this on the phone. I couldn't control myself. So yeah, I was super excited. Yeah, ended up meeting the team out when they were in New Orleans and got to be on a road trip with them. And it's different. Like they got the private planes, they got the nicest hotels. It's super nice, and so that whole process was legit. And so coming down from that after the season was over, just reflecting, I was like, man, like this is what I really want. Like I'm an NBA player, like I'm right there. And so it was kind of like motivation after that too as well.
Oh, well then after that was Team USA. And I didn't even know that till you sent over your picture in the USA uniform. I was like, okay, like that's just a small honor.
Yeah, I had to send that pic because I was like, man, USA looks good. I was like, it's
right? So clean. Yeah. So I have to ask, I'm sure it was the biggest honor representing your country. And I interviewed Elliot Kobo, who was with Team France for a little bit. And he said just to wear your country's uniform was the best thing. So for you, to know that you are representing USA, how special was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like that's something that you kind of like dream of. You see Kobe's and you see the Jordans, like Team USA, Redeem Team, all that stuff. So just being on the same, I guess, team as them, I guess you could kind of say that, just being able to represent the country. It was awesome, yeah, and getting to play with all the different players. So it was basically a team comprised of a lot of like G League guys, top G League guys, because we had to go qualify and play against Puerto Rico to qualify for kind of like the Pan American Games, kind of, which is something that they have to do to qualify for the Olympics eventually. So it's all one big process. But yeah, it was awesome. Got to visit Puerto Rico for the first time, which was amazing. It was super beautiful. I was so happy to be out there. Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I loved it. And so, yeah, the whole experience, everything from the basketball to getting to meet the players and getting to meet the coaches to the destination, it was all amazing.
Awesome. And then finally, the thing that shook the entire sports world, your guys' season was obviously canceled because of COVID. It was really interesting hearing from Ellie on the NBA side what it was like for him as a player. But for you, I think everybody can remember, and I say this a lot when describing what it was like for the sports industry, but when Rudy Gobert's test came back positive and you watched the entire league shut down on TV and then the other sports trickled down after that. For you as a player, where were you when the news broke that the NBA was shutting down? And then what was it like just in the days following that?
Yeah, so I'll even start from like the days leading up to it. It was kind of like here and there, like, oh, okay, like this could be bad. Like you might have to start limiting the interaction. So they kind of like canceled the post-game interviews and stuff for us. We really weren't supposed to like dap it up with the fans as we go by. We were all supposed to like keep our hands to ourselves. And then that game came where they had to straight up cancel it. And actually, we were getting ready for our own game. We were playing the OKC Thunder up in Stockton. And so I remember in warm-ups, like checking my phone, all of a sudden I'm scrolling through Twitter like, whoa, like they canceled the OKC game. Like, oh, Rudy Gobert got COVID. Oh, that's crazy. And so I remember seeing that and thinking like, dang, like this could be our last game. And so it was actually a weird feeling like playing that game that night. So I feel like that was on everyone's mind. It was like a weird, like, is this our last game? Like, does this count? When the rest of the season going to end? And so after that game ended, we kind of went home, and I was like, man, I feel like this is going to be our last game. Like, if the NBA is going to shut down, like, there's no way anything else could, like, keep going after this. And so that was our last game. We were basically told to, like, kick it at our apartments until we got word when we reconvene, and that never ended up happening. So that was crazy.
And one thing I've seen during this whole COVID shutdown, because that's what we're still going to call it, is you have been live streaming. I'm not a video game player. I should be. My dad has worked for Microsoft for a while, but you are on Twitch. Is that what it is that you've been streaming all your stuff on?
Yeah. So during that time, I was like, man, like, what is going on? Like, I'm getting so bored. So I'm like playing video games. I might as well kind of like share it with other people. And so, yeah, I kind of like dabbled in like the Twitch streaming. I bought myself like a little camera and put it like right there. And so been playing Call of Duty and like 2K and stuff. And so actually I've like found that I've actually really enjoyed that. So I'm actually kind of pursue it even more. I've like looked into it. I'm going to like get like a nicer camera, a nicer little setup and stuff like that. So over these next couple months, I'm kind of get more into it. But yeah, I was on Twitch. Yeah, I'll stream video games and just have a good time. Like I play video games, might as well like have fun while I'm doing it, have other people watch as well. So yeah.
For sure. And Ashley and I interviewed a couple weeks ago a NASCAR driver, Anthony Alfredo, and he actually got really popular from doing his Twitch streams with all the iRacing and stuff. And he has like, check him out. I know, he has the full setup. I was going to say I should connect you guys because he can give you all the tips and tricks. So
yeah, no, it's like a whole world. Like the esports gaming world is like on the come up. It's definitely it's going to be big soon.
It's insane. And are you getting the new PlayStation or the new Xbox?
I already got my pre-order in, PS5. I think it's like November 11th or 12th. I'm going to pick it up hopefully. So yeah, I'm all in.
Oh man, you won't be leaving your couch for weeks after that, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably not. Who knows?
All right, well, Cody, tell everyone where they can follow you both on social media and on Twitch.
Yeah, so on Twitch and as well as IG, which I'm most active on, is Cody2Easy, CODY, and then the number 2, and then Easy. And so, yeah, just come check it out, say what's up, love to interact and all that good stuff.
Perfect. Well, Cody, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time, and we look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.